Hello again. It's been a little while since I did an Eaglemoss review, but here I am. Despite the rise in living costs and all that sort of good stuff that's happening at the moment, I have succumbed because Eaglemoss offered me 50% off this particular item, which vastly reduced its price, of course, and I felt it would be rude not to, even though I've already got one of these. Yes, I'm weak, I know. Okay, so as you can see, this is an Aliens Dropship, and the box is huge. The box is 36 centimeters across, and I honestly can't remember my previous box being this big. So I'm guessing that this is going to be a much larger model than the landed version, or the sort of attack version that I had previously and still have now, obviously. So let me open this up for you and let's have a look, because I'm intrigued. I once had this model as a plastic kit, and being me, I overglued it to death. I mean, this is a classic example of the modern, or what I would term the modern style of Eaglemoss box. If you can see that there, it's got a lovely sort of picture on the inside of it as well. So the actual box itself is a major sort of display item in and of itself. You can see the way the images are mirrored there. Very, very nice. And it's also got the black felt inlay, which the modern. Well, that's interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, but look, you can see why I'm laughing. Why? Why? Just why? Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, all right. I'm sorry. I retract my laughter, because actually, when you take the front felt piece off, you can see it is a little bit longer, but it is in no way the width and length of the box. And I can understand why now, thinking about it, in fairness, because, of course, what you don't want is this thing getting bashed about in transit. And if you're going to use felt in this way, I guess you've got to use more felt sort of material around it than you would, say, the harder polystyrene. So you see, it's pretty hard. But I guess you do need to make sure that you're not going to jeopardise the sort of the viability of the item by going short on the packaging. So there she is. So in fact, what I thought was going to be a much larger version of this than I already have, I'm going to line them up together. I do think that is actually bigger, but you can see that in comparison with the actual box size, I'll do this because somebody once asked me this in the comments, I think, as to whether or not it was how long they actually are. I would say that is about 26 centimeters from its front to its back, and it's about 11 centimeters wide. If that helps anyone. And you can see, you might be able to see that better than I do, about 7 centimeters tall, I would say. But it is, again, it's a nice solid, I think there is some metal in there. The sides here where I'm holding her, the 01, do feel cold, so I'm guessing that is metal and not just plastic. But that is very nice. I think that's got to be, that's definitely bigger than the other. I'm going to show them you both now, so you can see what I'm sort of blathering on about. You can see the size has got the landing skis there, and also the one at the back, which of course picks up a hitchhiker in the film, which is deeply unfortunate for all concerned. So that's a nice detail. You can make out the various vectored thrust exhausts there as well for landing and so on, and obviously the various sort of payload bays there in the front. The sort of the refueling probe, which I'm always terrified of snapping off, and it's not those, it's the disruptors on the Klingon bird of prey, which always terrify me, because I'm always fearful of knocking those off. And quite a lot more detailing, I think it's fair to say, than on the other version. So let me pop this down and I'll get the stand out. As with the other example, she's quite happily just sat on the ground, which is useful. Should you wish to just put her down as such. A bit of stand assembly. I mean, these stands are always a little bit precarious for these. I mean, it's good in the sense that you can very easily get the dropship on and off. That's no problem at all. But I do think that in a sense they are a little bit precarious. I do apologise for all the laughter when I opened the box, but I was just expecting it to take up far more length than it actually did inside. So so there she is. Okay, oh that's nice actually. Yeah, she sits on, she sort of embeds herself on there very nicely. Now, I think for the purposes of comparison, what I will do is point her in that general direction. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I don't knock that probe off, and then I'll show you her alongside this one, which was number 2. So obviously in the film they have a dropship which meets a sticky end, and then they bring the spare down from the Sulaco, so it's still in orbit, but you can see the size difference here is quite cute. Now I know I'm putting one nearer the camera than the other here. Steady. Actually, that's probably the best way to do it. So there, you can see pretty clearly there that one of these is not. The thing is, the Alien sets aren't like the other sets in, say, the Star Trek range. They're not sort of obviously normal and XL, because all of the Alien sets tend to be a little bit larger than average. But this is identified on the box. It says. Well, I think on the website it says it has it as XL. I'm just looking for what it says on the back exactly. No, it doesn't actually seem to say anywhere on here that it is actually XL. It describes this as the UD-4L Cheyenne Dropship. Was a hardy and reliable but not necessarily graceful part of Marine Corps operations. It was designed to deliver troops and equipment from a carrier stationed in orbit directly to a planet's surface as fast as feasibly possible. Which of course is why it's called an express elevator to hell. Going down. So yeah, so and again you can see from the back there's a clear difference in scale here between the two of them. One of these is going to end up dropping off its stands. I try and do these oh so subtle manoeuvres, I'm sure. But there's let me get my tape measure out again. So the little one is about 19 centimeters long plus its probe, and this one is so 26 as I mentioned before. So number 2 is substantially smaller than number 1. So if you want a really big one, then you go for this one that I've just bought, which is number 1, and it's a properly XL one. And I'm fairly happy about that. I mean, so I know that somebody mentioned in one of the comments on this one, which I'm moving now, that there was this first one that had come out. But what I hadn't appreciated, I think, at the time, was that they were quite so different size-wise. Because obviously they are, you know, in very different classes there, which is fine. I don't really have a problem with that as such. It's just sort of, yeah, it's fine, and I dare say the price that I paid for them was reflective of that, and it's a nice pair to have. Personally, I've always preferred the configuration of this one in flight, because it just looks a lot sleeker when it's got all of its payload ordnance bays folded up, as against when they are fully deployed. I'm just looking at something for a moment. Sorry. Just trying to figure out how they actually fold in. I'm thinking of these ones now here because I'm just looking at how these sort of deploy versus where they actually sit here. Because here they're in this section here, so you can see that if I turn this around, don't break up the first day out of the box. Good Lord. Right. So you can see here that those deployed on the wings are just at the actually they're at the back here. Sorry, I can't see where I'm pointing. So they're just there. I'm kind of thinking, so they must sort of fold up and over, and then one must go first, and the other must follow, I think, in order for it to actually deploy in that fashion. Otherwise, they would sort of bump into each other, I think, when they were doing it. But yeah, so that's the Cheyenne Dropship from Aliens in both of its flavours from Eaglemoss for you to have a look at and consider. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's, I mean, I was fortunate to get the larger one half price. I wasn't looking for it as such. There was some 3 for 2 offers on, which there sometimes are, and I just happened to cross it on that one, and I felt it would be rude not to. I did hum and ha about it, but I use PayPal Paying 3, which I find quite useful for these things. It means I can spread the cost of them. So as long as I remember how many plans I've already got going, I don't get too much of a shock each month with it. But yeah, I like it. I've always liked the ship, and I thought the idea of it being able to get down from orbit at that sort of speed, and then bring a tank with it, and then head back up again under its own steam was pretty impressive. And it's a classic James Cameron film sort of tech design. I mean, it wouldn't look out of place appearing in Avatar these days, because it's very much that sort of concept that he's always had. I think that he's always liked the concept of orbital vehicles being able to drop down and deliver payloads and then head back up again. So it's not an uncommon theme in his films. So yeah, so I mean, obviously if you can get it in an offer, so much the better. I'm not sure if it'll still be on by the time you see this, and it varies from territory to territory. But yeah, I have seen it up to 50% off, so worth keeping an eye on that if you happen to get it in a deal. Yeah, grand. So I think I can now happily justify to myself the fact that I got 2 of them because they are substantially different and in substantially different configurations. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'll see you for the next one.